Hello everyone, my name is Mr. Nicholas Mutinda from Nairobi branch. We are still discussing about employee resourcing. In this video, we are going to tackle the first part of performance management. We'll be discussing about performance management, our 6th chapter. And performance management has 10 subtopics. So we will discuss the first 5 subtopics in this video, performance management 1, and then we will discuss on the remaining 5 subtopics in the next video of performance management 2. Now, why is it important for us to discuss about performance management? Remember, we have been doing discussing lessons, tackling as the lesson. The unit is arranged systematically. The unit is arranged systematically. We talked about human capital in the first chapter. We talked about human resource planning. We talked about talent management in the 3rd chapter. And then in 4th chapter, we talked about recruitment and selection. Now, in the 5th chapter, we talked about induction. So, you remember we have talked about the competencies required in the organization. The competencies required in the organization in the first chapter. Then in the 2nd chapter, we plan for the organization. What are the human resource requirements for the organization depending on the strategic objectives of the organization. Now, in chapter 3, we talked about talent management. How do you acquire and retain talented employees for the organization? Now, you look at that, we have realized you require a certain talent. You have identified now. You have recruited them. You have selected the best talents in the organization in chapter 4. Now, we talked about how you induct them in order to ensure that they are able to settle in the organization. So, in this chapter, we are going to discuss about how do you measure the performance of the employees. How do you measure performance of the employees? And I would want to welcome you to continue viewing my videos. You can always subscribe to my videos. You can always like my videos and comment. I will be very, very grateful if you can comment. I will be very glad to reply to your comments. Otherwise, thank you and welcome to the first lesson, the first video of performance management. The first video of performance management. Thank you and welcome. So, 6.1, performance management defined. So, what do we mean by performance management? What do we mean by performance management? And when we talk about performance management is an ongoing communication between the supervisor and the employee on what is to be achieved by the employee. We are talking about performance management, and we are saying performance management is an ongoing process whereby the employee and his supervisor agree on the targets to be achieved. And how they will be achieved in order to ensure that the organization is able to meet its organizational objectives. So when we talk about performance management, we simply say that the employee and his supervisor, they sit down before the start of the year, probably towards the end of the previous year. They agree on what is to be achieved. Probably they say by this year the employee will sell 20 tons of fertilizer. Now, since it is an ongoing communication, now this is what the employee, probably we are talking about an employee in the sales department. So he will sell 20 tons of fertilizer. And then they agree. For me to be able to sell the 20 tons of fertilizer, what do I require? What kind of environment? What kind of tools do I require? What kind of facilitation? What kind of support do I require? And then now they agree on what is to be achieved. Probably if you are talking about 20 tons. So by the end of the first month, you should have sold 2 tons. By the end of the second month, you should have sold another 2 tons. And then you agree. So when you are talking about performance being an ongoing process, we simply mean that after the end of the first month, the employee and the supervisor sit down, review. Were you able to achieve the target of selling 2 tons by the end of the first month? Were you able? Yes or no? If no, what were the challenges you faced? What can we do to remove those challenges, to deal with those challenges? What kind of support do you require from us? What kind of environment do you require? What are the challenges you found when you are implementing that? What were the predicaments? What were the issues you found on the ground? And that's why we are calling it an ongoing process. Because you require to get a feedback from now and then, regular feedback. An ongoing what? Being an ongoing process. An ongoing communication between an employee and his supervisor. In support of accomplishing strategic objectives. An ongoing process. You can't agree, we will sell 20 tons, and then now the supervisor relaxes, and then waits until the end of the year. Then to come and question, why did you not sell 20 tons? That is not performance management. Because it is supposed to be an ongoing communication. If, for instance, you are selling 20 tons, and by the end of the first week, you realize the company is selling 1 ton at 500,000. And then the competitor has reduced the price to 400,000 per ton. So you find the competitor is selling 400,000 per ton, and your company is selling at 500,000 tons. You cannot be able to sell because there is an underprice. The other companies have reduced their price. So now the salesperson needs to communicate that to the supervisor. And then the supervisor communicates with his superiors whether do we adjust our prices from 500,000 to 400,000 because of the feedback. So that to ensure that you are able to achieve. But if you are talking in January, you are given the supervisor, your employee to achieve 20 tons, to sell 20 tons, and then the price reduces to 400,000, and then there is no feedback, there is no ongoing communication. So the employee will wait up to December, and probably by December he will have sold probably 1 or 2 tons. And then he says, why did you not sell the 2 tons? Because our rivals reduced the price from 500,000 to 400,000. But you should have told me. But there is no feedback. So it's supposed to be an ongoing communication in order to ensure that the challenges as they come, they are dealt with as they come. Issues as they arise, they are dealt with. Adjustments are made when it is still too early, when it is not too late. Because you are expecting the employee to achieve his targets in order now for the organization to achieve its targets. If the employee does not achieve their targets, if the employee does not accomplish their objectives, then the organization will not be able to accomplish its objectives. The organization will not be able to accomplish its objectives. And now you realize there is a problem. Right. I think that is all about definition of. That is all about definition of performance management. So backgrounds of performance management. Of performance management. This is 6.2. That is 6.2. And when we are talking about backgrounds of performance management, we simply mean the issues surrounding performance management. The issues surrounding performance management. The issues surrounding performance management. And define now performance management as a cycle, what we call performance management cycle. And the cycle is whereby towards the end of the year, the employee comes and sits with his supervisor. And then based on probably they scan the environment. And when you're talking about environment, we have internal and external. So the employee sits with the supervisor, they scan the environment, and then now they agree on the targets of the work to be accomplished or to be achieved. So the employee comes with the supervisor, they look at what were we able to achieve in last year, 2019. 2019, I was able to sell 18 tons of fertilizer. I was able to sell 18 tons of fertilizer. The government gave, the environment was very good. The internal environment, the management supported us. Now, you have scanned the internal environment. You move to the external environment, things that you have no control of. What are the policies, government policies on fertilizers? What is the weatherman predicting? Do we have rival companies? What are the other companies that sell fertilizer are doing? We scan the external environment based on the weather prediction. This year will be a good year. So if the weather is favorable, then we will be able to sell more fertilizer. Now, we had 5 competitors, but one of the competitors closed down. He moved his operations outside the country because of our harsh economic conditions. So the rival company, the fertilizer, the rival companies have reduced by 1. Now, what about the economic policies? What is about the economic situation? Yes, in the previous year, we had an elections. So people were waiting. But now, things have settled down. There is political stability. There is economic stability. So we expect this year to be a good year for farmers. So we expect to sell more fertilizer. And based on that, you arrive at what the target to be achieved. Based on that, you arrive at the target to be achieved. What we are calling what? The background of performance management. Now, for you to achieve that, what do you require? What kind of tools do you require? I've been using public transport and it has not been efficient. So I would request, if I can be given, allocated a vehicle, I can be able to improve on my performance. The tools and equipment. What other else support do you require? I think also if we can open new storage facilities. Instead of selling only to Rift Valley, we can open a new storage facility in Western Kenya and Nyanza region. Those are new emerging markets. You review the background what? The background of. Now, what else are we supposed to what else can we look at when you talk about background? You are also required to ensure that you link individual work efforts with the organization's missions and objectives. We are talking about selling 20 tons. The work effort is to ensure that you are able to sell what? 20 tons. But the organizational objective may be to minimize costs. So, are you able to sell 20 tons? Let's say you have been having 2 vehicles at your disposal. Now, supposing we reduce one, we take one, and then you remain with 1 vehicle. Will your performance be affected? Because we are talking about linking individual work efforts to the organizational objectives. So the objective of the organization is to minimize costs. So can we be able to link? The objective of the organization is to increase organizational efficiency. Now you are selling fertilizer. What happens? How long does it take when a customer or a client orders for a fertilizer? It has always taken a week for us to deliver that fertilizer. But now we want to increase, the organizational objective is to increase organizational efficiency. So can we be able to reduce the 7 days to 3 days or to 4 days? Are we able to do that? Are we able to do that? Another thing. I think that is so about background of organizational performance. Now, let's move quickly to 6.3. 6.3. Principles of performance management. And When we talk about principles, what do we mean by principles? A principle is a guideline. Agreed guidelines. Agreed guidelines. So, when we talk about principles of performance management, we simply mean, irrespective of the size of the organization, irrespective of the nature of the organization, what are those guidelines which are clearly applied, which you apply universally? Probably whether it is a kiosk, whether it is a multinational, whether it is a department, whether it is a branch, whether it is an organization as a whole. What are those guidelines that apply across, that are probably universally agreed as the guiding principles, as the guiding factors or principles of management? And one of them is we must keep it simple. Performance management should be simple, clear and concise. It must be simple in order for it to be understood by the supervisor and the employee. You are to sell 20 tons by the end of December. Simple. By the end of June, you are supposed to have sold 12 tons. By the end of quarter one, you are supposed to have sold 6 tons. Very clear. Because if you don't make it clear, definitely the employee may not be able to achieve it because he doesn't understand. Probably the supervisor may not be able to supervise the employee to review because it is not clear. Number 2, let it be open and honest. You are coming up with targets. Be honest when you are setting them. Be open when you are setting them. In the previous year, we were able to sell 20 tons. Based on the environment, we will not be able to sell 20 tons because this year, as Corona has disrupted the business. Corona has disrupted the business chains, supply chains. So we'll not be able. Be open. Be honest when you are coming up with targets. Let the targets be realistic. Number 3, make goals interesting, challenging, and engaging. Goals interesting, challenging, and engaging. Make the goals interesting. Make it somebody to want to achieve them. My friend, last year you were able to sell 18 tons. Definitely this year you will sell 20 tons. Last year you were able to do this. Now this year you will be able to do this because of this and this. You are making it interesting. You are interesting. The person who is supposed to achieve that is feeling interested to achieve, to go an extra mile and achieve that target. Another very key word, another very key principle, build on strength. And not on weaknesses. What have you been able to achieve? And you can see this. You know a goalkeeper. A goalkeeper may save 100 goals or balls. May save hundreds. But if by any mistake mpira inaingia wanafungwa moja, he is blamed. And what we are saying is, don't blame the goalkeeper when he has already saved 100 goals and only one has been scored. Build on the strengths. What were you able to achieve? I was able to do this, and I was able to sell 19.5 tons of the fertilizer. My target was 20 tons. Last year I sold 15 tons. So I've increased from 15 up to 19.5. Appreciate that person. For heaven's sake, he has achieved. He has a strength. So we are saying, build on strength, but don't dwell on weaknesses. That is a very key principle. That is a very good principle of performance management. This is what we agreed. You as an organization, we agreed you increase your revenues by 20%. We also agreed you reduce your cost by 15%. We also agreed you increase our market share by 15%. We also agreed you improve organizational efficiency. So you have improved organizational efficiency. You have increased revenues. You have increased your market share. But there was a problem. The cost we only reduced by 10% instead of 15% that we had agreed. So build on what we have achieved. Build on the strength. Don't dwell on the weaknesses. Don't dwell on the weaknesses. People like to perform. Always people like to perform. Nobody who doesn't like to perform. So let your performance management be based on that. People always will want to perform. People will always want to achieve their targets. Nobody will intentionally fail to achieve his targets. So build on that. Another thing is motivate. Motivate employees. You can do better than this. You can do better. I know you are equal to the challenge. I think you can achieve this. Unampea psyche kabisa. Motivate them. Always pull together. Don't scatter. Another key principle of performance management. Pull together. Somebody has not been achieved. Pull that person together. Encourage him to perform better next time. Don't push. Always pull together. Be an example as an employee. Get the right tools. For the employee to perform. Ensure he has the right tools, the right equipment for the work. If you are talking about teaching, give him an opportunity. Give him the right tools. Give him the right pen. Give him the right books. Give him something to go and do research. Provide a conducive environment for that person, and he will be able to achieve that. Give support. Give support where necessary. Provide the right tools and equipment. Provide support, maximum support. The employee should be given maximum support from the top management. Provide a conducive environment for that employee, and he will be able to achieve. Now, I think those are the few principles of performance management. Now, 6.3, 6.4. Here we are expected to talk about ethics and concerns of performance management. And concerns of performance management. Ethics and concerns of performance management. So what do you mean by ethics? What is the meaning of ethics? Now, ethics is doing the right thing. Doing the right thing in the eyes of the society. What we call moral values. Doing the right thing in the eyes of society. So, what are those ethics? What are those things that can be regarded as good in the eyes of society when it comes to performance management? And one of the ethics or concerns of performance management is what we call fairness. Fairness. Now, when you are setting targets for employees, let's say you are in charge of 20 employees. Are you fair to each one of them? Because the society expects for you to be fair to each one, each and every employee. They expect that. Are you fair? When you are giving me to sell 20 tons, have you given all the others 20 tons? Or you are giving me 20 tons while the others you are giving them 10, others 5, based on their surnames. Now, when you are reviewing, is there respect? Because there should be respect. Because if you don't respect me, how do you expect me to achieve my targets? There should be mutual respect. I was not able to achieve my target, but don't insult me. Probably there is a valid reason why I was not able to achieve the target, on why I failed to hit the target. Mutual respect. Is there transparency in coming up with the targets? Is there transparency? Is there transparency? Do you know, are you human enough? You are dealing with human beings who have feelings. Do you cater for their welfare? Do you mind for their welfare, or you only mind about the targets? Somebody has been sick and you are still insisting that he must come to work because definitely there are targets to be met on that day, and this person is very sick. Are you human enough? Are you human enough? Because these things do not happen anyhow. You are dealing with human beings. Somebody has been bereaved and he can't concentrate on work. Somebody is going and undergoing some challenges, personal challenges, that will definitely affect his performance. Are you aware of those? Are you minding those? There is raining. It is raining. Do you expect them still to walk and you have not provided them with transport? And those are the issues we are talking about. Is there nepotism? And you find you need to look at those things. Ethics. So, what are ways to good ethics in performance management? Ethics to good ways to good ethics in performance management. Ways to good ethics in performance management. Number one, use uniform evaluation criteria. If you are supervising 20 employees, use a uniform evaluation criteria to ensure fairness across all the employees. Uniform evaluation criteria to ensure that all the employees are measured on the same criteria to ensure fairness across board, to ensure that upendelei wafanyikazi wengine na wengine wapendelei. It is uniform across. Employee Y, employee Z, employee X, employee W, all of them did not achieve their targets. Number two, remove personal prejudice. You have not been getting along with somebody, with employee Y. You had quarrels, probably 2 years. Remove that in order to ensure that your objective as much as possible. Based on this guy, you don't like people who are short. You don't like people who are fat. But you are supervising them. Remove those prejudices against people. Whether they are short, whether they are fat, whether they are tall, whether they are skinny. Remove those personal prejudices in performance management. You always don't like people from this tribe. Remove that. Remove what? Personal prejudices. eliminate friendship factor. You always go for one for the road with this guy. You always go for one road for this guy. You always discuss about football together. Probably you support the same football club, Chelsea. Probably you are in the same political camp. But that friendship, when it comes to performance management, wachana nayo. Because it may bring subjectivity in evaluation of employees. Huyo jamaa anaweza kuwa hajafikia target, lakini kwa sababu ni rafiki yako hawezi kumwambia ukweli. You can't tell him, my friend, you are my friend, but you have not achieved this. So eliminate friendship factor. Defy evaluations when you find that you will not be objective as much as possible. Not be objective as much as possible. So I think that is all about ethics. That is all about ethics. So the last subtopic in this video is what we call steps. Steps in performance management. 6.5 steps in performance management. Number one is definitely planning. And we said, planning here, you scan the environment. When you are talking about scanning the environment, we have internal and external. So scan the environment, see what the employee can be able to achieve. What are the tools and equipment does he require? You are planning. What are the supports does he require? What support does he require? How to review the performance. They all plan. What are the goals to be achieved? We have talked about that. So what are the goals to be achieved? What are things to be accomplished? How will the results be measured? Identify how the results will be measured. What kind of support is required? What kind of support is required? We have talked about that. What are the tools required and equipment? You plan. Number two is monitoring. Monitoring. We have agreed you are to sell 20 tons by the end of 2020. So we have agreed that by the end of June, you should have sold 12 tons. By the end of the first quarter, you should have sold 6 tons. What have you achieved by the end of January? You are required by end of January to sell 2 tons. You are monitoring progress. What is the progress of the employee? What is the progress of the employee? You monitor progress. If, for instance, this is a lecturer, he has a unit and is supposed to cover the syllabus within 3 months. The syllabus has 10 chapters. So basically, by the end of the first month, he should be able to cover 3 topics. By the mid-month, he should have covered at least 1.5 topics. So, you monitor as he covered that. If he has not, what might be the possible problem? What are the challenges on the ground? Why was he not able to cover that? You monitor progress, because you can't wait up to the end and start lamenting. You must monitor the progress to get the feedback, to get the challenges, to get the issues that are making the person, the employee, not to achieve what he is expected to achieve. Number 3 is reviewing performance. Number 3 is reviewing. And here we talk about when probably when you are setting the targets, you review. So we have a target for 20 tons by the end of the year, but we review performance. We have a first review at the end of the quarter. And then after the end of the second quarter, we review performance, and the third of the quarter, you review. What have you been able to achieve? What are the challenges? What support do you require? And so forth and so forth. Then now you improve after you have reviewed. You have reviewed. So at the end of the first review process, which happened after the end of the first quarter, so you can look for ways to improve, to ensure that you don't fall or to improve on the performance for the next period. So what else can we do in order to improve your performance? What else does the employee require for him to improve on his performance? So number 3 is reviewing. Number 4 is improving. And then after that, you measure. Now at the end of the period, you measure performance. What have you been able to achieve? Alright, what have you been able to achieve? And then you set new performance expectations for the next year, for the preceding year. You set the performance for the preceding year. And I think that is all about the first lesson of performance management. That is all about the first lesson of performance management. So kindly subscribe to my channel. You just need to click on the subscription button there below the video. Also like it. You can also comment, and I will be glad to reply to your comments. So see you in the next video. Performance Management 2, where we will cover on the remaining 5 subtopics. Thank you for watching, and bye.